Healing Oracles. This is Crystal, and today I'm going to do a past life celebrity reading on Meagan Good and Tammy Terrell. So if you're interested in learning about the beautiful songstress Tammy Terrell and her reincarnation as the gorgeous actress Meagan Good, then please make sure that you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any of my fabulous content. Okay, so let's get into this video. A while ago, I was sitting around listening to some music from the 60s and 70s, which is one of my favorite pastimes. And while I was in a relaxed state, Tammy Terrell's spirit came to me and told me that she is Meagan Good reincarnated. I am always fascinated when spirits who have crossed over and died, usually at an untimely death at a very young age, who was not able to complete out their cycle, decide to reincarnate. And once her spirit told me that she is Meagan Good, I was really astonished, but not surprised. So let's get into this video. If you are not familiar with Tammy Terrell, she is an American singer and songwriter. And although she was signed to other labels, she is widely known for being the prodigy musician for Motown Records during the 60s. And she was really tied to doing a lot of songs and duets with singer Marvin Gaye. Tammy Terrell was born Thomasina Winifred Montgomery on April 29th, 1945 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And her zodiac sign is a Taurus sign. And we will get into her chart here. If we take a look at Tammy Terrell's life path number, she has a life path number of a 7. This is the same life path number that I have. And when you are a life path 7, you devote your life to spirituality. You are gifted intuitively. I believe that she was clairvoyant. She was highly sensitive and she was empathic. Most of her time was spent alone in solitude. She did a lot of thinking about life, what direction to take, and what to do next. She was highly gifted in the musical arts and her talents really excelled. But she also had a lot of tragedy in her life. When Tammy Terrell was growing up, she was from a well-to-do family. Her mother was an actress and her father was a politician. There were reports from her sister that her mother was mentally ill. They really wanted a boy and they thought they were going to have a boy child. So that's why her name is Thomasina, because she was named after her father. I find it interesting that her mother was an actress, because Tammy Terrell has reincarnated as Meagan Good, and we know that Meagan Good is a well-known actress. So there's a connection there. I believe that she admired her mother, who was an actress, who was into the arts, who was into theater, who was into make-believe, and she really was intrigued by that. So when she decided to reincarnate, she definitely chose the occupation of an actress, which she admired since childhood from her mother being on the screen. So there is a connection with her soul reincarnating as Meagan Good and pursuing the arts. She continued that route to be a celebrity. Now, if we look at her karmic lesson number of a 3. Number 3 in numerology stands for creativity. It stands for the arts. It stands for being innovative. And that is a lesson that she had to learn. This is the same number that Rihanna had in her chart as a singer. Rihanna was too hard on herself. This is the same thing when it comes to Tammy Terrell and being too hard on herself. Whether it was performing, whether it was being the golden child for Motown, she always felt like she had to be present in the moment and she had to show up. She had to perform. She had to be the best. And this was part of her karmic lesson to slow down. Not only was Tammy Terrell a fabulous singer, but she was a songwriter and she was highly devoted to her craft. I believe that music was an outlet for her because she had a lot of trauma in her childhood. And this leads me to her karmic debt number of a 16. If you have been watching my numerology videos, you will know that when I talk about certain souls who have a karmic debt number 16, I always mention that a karmic debt number 16 is a very hard number to have. The fact that she had this number played out through her whole entire life. A karmic debt number 16 means that in a past life, you misused and abused love. You hurt people. And as a result, in her lifetime as Tammy Terrell, she was at the hands of a lot of abuse because she had to pay her debt of a karmic number 16. A lot of the times we may look at people in life and they may suffer at the hands of an abuser, but a lot of people don't understand the reason why certain people suffer at the hands of abuse is because in a past life they were the transgressors. They were the ones who were the abusers and misused love. In this case, it is the same for Tammy Terrell. So if we look at her childhood, when she was around 11 years old, she was raped by 3 boys. And they say around this time is where she developed migraine headaches. At 17 years old, Tammy Terrell was in an abusive relationship with James Brown. And at the time, he was 12 years her senior. There were reports that he beat her so bad that her face was bloody. And her spirit tells me that this is one of the darkest times of her life. And I keep hearing that she's saying that James Brown was a very, very bad man. She feels almost as if he was predatory. But at the time, she was so young and naive. She trusted him. And she would come to realize that that was a big mistake in her life. The next abusive relationship that she had was with her fellow Motown co-worker who was part of the Temptations, and he was what you would call today a bad boy, David Ruffin. Now, David Ruffin really was rough. It's like a play on his name, but he played that out. David Ruffin proposed to Tammy Terrell when he was already married and had children. But that's nothing compared to the way Ruffin treated Terrell. He was highly abusive to her, and there were reports that he would always hit her in the head, and that the final blow to the relationship, no pun intended, was when he hit Terrell in the head with the helmet. And unfortunately, in 1967, Terrell was diagnosed with having a brain tumor, and this is why she had such heavy headaches. Again, it goes back as well to her being highly empathic, highly sensitive, and highly intuitive. And it was as if her brain on a spiritual level couldn't take it, because essentially Tammy Terrell is an earth angel, a light worker, and everything was got to be so much for her. She's telling me it was too much, it was too much, it was too much. She's saying all the pressure on her skull and in her head, as well as the pressures in her life as a child, as a teenager, and dealing with these abusive relationships, on top of wanting to be that prodigy for Motown and stepping up. It began to be too much for her that during one time on the stage performing with Marvin Gaye, she collapsed in his arms. Unfortunately, Tammy Terrell, after having about 8 surgeries, she would succumb to her death. In March of 1970, the day was the 16th. She died at the age of 24. If we break down that numerological number, 24 is broken down to 6, and we will see that she carried over the lesson of a 6 as Meagan Good. So there is that connection there when we look at Meagan's chart. Also, when she died, they said that her mother banned almost everyone from the funeral that was from Motown. The only person who could come to the funeral from Motown was Marvin Gaye. The relationship between Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye was very strong, and I get the feeling that they were soulmates. This wasn't romantic, but it was just very a deep bond, that when she died, Marvin Gaye was in a deep depression, and it was because they were soulmates. They reincarnated and had an agreement to guide each other, to be a part of the arts, to impact humanity. And that was their role, especially when they did their hit song, Precious Love. So Tammy Terrell left her mark even when she died at the age of 24. She died very young, and this is why she decided to reincarnate as Meagan Monique Good. Now let's take a look at Meagan Good's chart. Meagan Monique Good was born August 8th, 1981 in Panorama City, Los Angeles, and she has a zodiac sign of a Leo. Meagan Good is known as a beautiful model, actress, and director. She has been on screen since she was a child. Her mother was her manager, and her father was an LAPD police officer. So here we have her coming from a well-to-do family, just like she was when she was Tammy Terrell. And let's take it back to Tammy Terrell's mother. Tammy Terrell's mother was also an actress, and I told you that her spirit told me that she admired her mother. She admired her mother's craft. And so when she reincarnated as Meagan Good, she decided to come as an actress. She still wanted to be famous. She still wanted to be well known. And she still wanted to pursue the arts. She has a love for the arts. Let's take a look at Meagan Good's life path number, which is an 8. Life path number 8s are very driven by success, leadership, materialism, and financial abundance. So when you have a person who is a life path 8, they really are involved in the material world, which means that they like to make money, they like to earn money, and of course they like to spend it. It's that old adage, work hard, play hard. In this lifetime, she is an 8, which is more so material. In her lifetime as Tammy Terrell, she was a 7, which was more spiritual. But there was an aspect to Tammy Terrell where she really wasn't being her full spiritual self when she was an R&B songstress and she was involved in abusive relationships. She also abused drugs. And we will get to her karmic debt number to tie into that. Now, Meagan Good has a karmic lesson of a 6. And as I said, when Tammy Terrell died at the age of 24, she died young and she was not able to complete out her cycle. So she earned a karmic lesson 6. The age of her death, which was 24, and you add 4 plus 2, you get 6. Now take a look at Meagan Good's karmic lesson of a 6. Karmic lesson 6s are about learning to complete something. And in the previous lifetime, she did not get to complete out her goals because she died early. So in this lifetime as Meagan Good, she must allow her passions to express themselves and put her heart into commitments and relationships. And she has done that so far, being an actress, being a philanthropist, being dedicated to her craft, and completing out her lessons. And that's what she has to do with the karmic lesson 6. Now, with a karmic debt of 14, she incurred that debt as Tammy Terrell, going back to what I said about being in abusive relationships and also abusing her body with drugs. She abused her right to freedom. And so therefore, after her death, she incurred a karmic debt 14, as well as a karmic debt 13, which means that she neglected her spiritual self for material gain. As I said before, when she was Tammy Terrell, her life path was indeed a 7, which means she was supposed to be spiritual, but she got lost being in abusive relationships and struggling with the darkness and succumbing to drug abuse. So therefore, she incurred another debt of a 13. But if you notice, as Meagan Good, she does not have a karmic debt of a 16, which was an abuse and misuse of love, because she cleared out that debt as Tammy Terrell when she was with David Ruffin, when she was with James Brown, when she was abused as a child. She really suffered. When she had to have 8 surgeries, she went through a lot of mistreatment and abuse. So she cleared out that debt. Even though she died young, she was able to get rid of that karmic debt. And if you see in this lifetime, Meagan Good is happily married to Devon Franklin, who happens to be a minister or a preacher, and she considers herself, quote, a sexy Christian, quote. Now, as a life path 7, when she was Tammy Terrell, she was very spiritual, but she neglected that. So she incurred a karmic debt of a 13. As Meagan Good, she has learned to balance the materialism with spirituality. And she is a practicing Christian. She did not have sex prior to her marriage, and she stays and lives in faith. As you can see, they are the same soul. She has decided to reincarnate, and they have very similar features. If you look at Meagan Good and Tammy Terrell, they both have a small stature, petite body, very fit and toned, and they have petite, exact, beautiful features, beautiful eyes, a small chin, almost like a doll face. And they always wear their hair short. And there's like a tomboy aspect to Meagan Good that relates back to Tammy Terrell and her parents wanting a boy. and they nicknaming Tammy Terrell Tommy because her father's name was Thomas. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Tammy Terrell Spirit does have a message for me to deliver. She says, I want the masses to know I love them and I had to come back to complete my mission. So there you have it. A lot of these stars that die young, they want to come back and reincarnate to finish out their cycle, to finish out their lessons. And I get that Tammy Terrell had a high level of frustration because she didn't get to continue living her life. She enjoyed being a musician. She enjoyed being a songwriter. She loved working with Marvin Gaye, and she loved being a part of Motown. She was at the height of her career, and towards the end of her life, she was going to marry the doctor who gave her care. She finally found love at the end, and then she tragically died. And so she wants you to know that enjoy your life while you're here on earth, because it is a short ride. But she came back to continue on the road of her success and to inspire and uplift humanity. As always, thank you for tuning into my channel. If you enjoy these celebrity past life readings, then please make sure that you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any celebrity content and get caught up with all my tarot readings, as well as my twin flame energy updates and any videos that I do on the law of attraction. As always, I really appreciate you. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't, hit that button. It's just one button. Sending you love and light. Thank you for tuning into my channel. If you enjoy these videos, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button.